Saved from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
Hello, Darren Patterson. How are you doing today?
How are you, good sir, John Trumbull? Summer's almost coming to an end. We're closing in on summer already. It feels like it just started.
I know. That's the thing I dislike about summer. Is it goes so damn quickly. It's like middle of August and it's already like kind of wrapping up, and winter just seems to drag on forever.
Yeah, like I'm one of those people that does get that kind of the winter blues.
Yeah,
where
100%.
I know like a lot of people do get like affected by their environment, and
seasonal affective disorder. SAD.
That's
the acronym. Yeah, seasonal affective disorder. That's the thing. Yeah,
I did not know that. But because I definitely get it. Like when it's like in the middle of February when it's snowy and slushy and it's just miserable outside, I feel like I can't wait till the sunshine comes.
And when it's getting dark at like 4:30 in the afternoon, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. It just feels like you're living in a bad dream.
And the days pass so quickly, and you're just like, oh, did I do enough today? I didn't really do much of anything today. What did I do? What am I doing with my life?
What are we
having
doing?
An existential crisis. That's every fucking day of winter.
What are we doing here? I'm talking on a microphone, talking about SNL movies. My God, what has my life become?
I'm watching 20-year-old Adam Sandler movies. What am I doing with my life? God damn it.
This is not my beautiful wife. This is not my beautiful car. How did I get here?
And that's kind of what Drew Barrymore is saying in our movie for this week, 50 First Dates.
Segway King.
Yeah.
You, sir, are the Segway King.
Thank you. Very proud. Very proud.
But yeah, we're talking about 50 First Dates. Came out 20 years ago, Valentine's Day weekend, on February 13th, 2004. Directed by Peter Siegel, who directed Tommy Boy, which we've talked about in the podcast. And he also directed two other movies with Adam Sandler, Anger Management and The Longest Yard, which we've also talked about on the podcast.
Wow, we've done a fair amount of Sandler movies.
Fair amount.
Yeah. This is his second teaming with Drew Barrymore after they did The Wedding Singer, which we have not talked about yet. I think we're we're saving that one because that's one of his better regarded movies.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in college and liking it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the second movie he did with Drew Barrymore. The third one, of course, being later on and called Blended. And out of all three of those movies, this was the only one that was number one at the box office and made over $100 million. It had a budget of $75 million, and it grossed $198 million. So this was
that's more.
That is more. I crunched the number, did the math, got the old calculator out. It is more.
So yeah. Okay. So if you're not familiar with the movie, I got the DVD that I got from my local library right here, and as I want to do when I have the DVD, I will read the description on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore star together for the first time since The Wedding Singer in one of the funniest romantic comedies in years. Disagree. Henry Roth Sandler lives an enviable life as in a Hawaiian paradise, spending every night with a beautiful tourist in search of an island fling. It's a sweet life with no strings attached until he meets Lucy Barrymore. He and Lucy hit it off right from the get-go, and the next day she acts like she doesn't know him. Has his karma come around to kick him in the butt or what? Actually, Lucy has short-term memory loss, so every night all memory of her day is erased. But a man in love will go to any lengths to win over the girl of his dreams. And if that means having to find imaginative ways of doing it over again every day, then Henry's up for the challenge. Rob Schneider, Big Daddy, and Sean Astin, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, co-star in 50 First Dates, which will win you over every time you watch it. I don't know. This was my second time with the movie. This was your first time with the movie.
Yeah.
Did it win you over?
Partially.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
I'll show my hand here. Like the comedy in it is a little stale. Like I think Adam Sandler kind of does this thing where he kind of leans on this college frat boy humor a little bit too much, and I get why he does that because that's the audience that kind of brought him up and like
That's the
made him.
brand. That's the
That's the
expectation.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like yeah, but I think like that same type of humor in the mid '90s maybe doesn't work quite as well in the early aughts. So like some of the
yeah,
jokes were like, all right, that's okay, but I say partially because and only because the chemistry between Barrymore and Sandler is so good,
yeah.
and like the sweet tender moments they have together, you know, they won me over just because I am a bit of a softie.
Hmm.
I'm a big old pile of mush sometimes, and
I've
sometimes
always said
those
this about you. Yes.
yes, I'm I'm a mushy pile of just
Yeah.
mashed potatoes. But yeah,
Yeah.
like so sometimes
I
when I
mean, for
see
me, it was just a hurtful comment about your physical appearance, but
a little bit, yeah,
yeah,
I cried and ate bonbons when you
yeah.
said that.
But
But like
it's, I mean, but it's also emotionally true. You are
yes,
mushy on the inside.
yes, exactly. And like so, like when you have scenes like that, like in rom coms where there's a little bit more heartfelt and a little kind of cheesy, like that will kind of tug at my heartstrings a bit. There was that one scene where they were having that spoiler I guess the big
Mhm.
breakup scene where Adam Sandler's like standing in the rain and then Drew
Mhm.
Barrymore goes up to kiss him and they're both standing in the rain like the Notebook.
Yeah.
Like mushy kind of I guess sentimental rom-com stuff like tropes like that will make me go, oh, that's so sweet,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though I know it's kind of a cheesy trope.
Right. Right.
So like I would say that. I would say if it wasn't for the chemistry between Barrymore and Sandler, I'd probably not be as wild about this movie as I ended up being. And even I'm not wild about the movie. I think the movie is
Mhm.
all right. I think it's cute enough, but it's not.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I would agree with that. I co-sign with everything you say. I think Drew Barrymore basically elevates this movie. I don't think it if it was somebody besides Drew Barrymore in this movie, it wouldn't be as good of a movie.
Yes,
And it's a decent movie. I don't think it's a great movie, but it's a decent movie. It has its moments.
yeah, like I know it has kind of a special place in its heart for a lot of people that
Mhm.
kind of grew up watching it. Especially people who really liked The Wedding Singer, because I think that was a movie that a lot of people really gravitated towards, maybe mostly women, because I think we saw maybe like a bit of a. That's the first time we saw like a softer side to Adam Sandler, and people kind of saw him as like, oh, like a rom com lead a little bit. And again, the
I
chemistry between.
guess I don't. I still don't entirely get him as a rom because I don't know.
He's
I'm very conflicted about Adam Sandler, as I've talked about before, and I'll talk about the reasons why on this podcast. But
ooh, hot
I
dog.
mean, like, okay, at the beginning of this movie, Adam Sandler, his character Henry Raw, like as it said in the DVD description, he's like just hooking up with this endless stream of tourists to Hawaii, and he's like, but portraying himself as this sex god.
Yeah, like he's done
So
that before.
already I'm having trouble with this.
Like he's done that before in movies where
Yeah.
like he's like a single guy and just every like he's just irresistible to women. Like every woman wants to bed him, and I
Women
look
are
at
like
him and like he's
falling
not a
all over him.
yeah
Yeah,
he's not an ugly guy by any
no,
means, but
but he's like an average looking guy. He's not like
yeah, he's fine.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's
not like Chris
decent, but
Yeah,
like
he's not Chris
yeah,
Hemsworth.
always in movies he's like he's batting out of his league.
Yes, absolutely.
He's like married to a Salma Hayek or a Kate Beckinsale or
Yes, yeah. What is up with that?
I mean, honestly, even in this movie, I'm watching this movie and I'm just like, Drew Barrymore could do better. Even with the retrograde amnesia thing, I feel like she could do better.
You're not wrong.
So I'm having trouble with this movie right from the get go.
Yeah. So
Because
like
because it literally opens with a montage of all these women and being like, oh, I hooked up with this guy on my Hawaiian vacation and he sexed me so good. And I'm just like, really? Adam Sandler sexed you so good? Really?
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna sex you. Ooh, I'm gonna sex on your ass. I'm gonna get all up in there. Yeah.
We also have Rob Schneider playing a racial caricature.
Father of the year.
He's playing a Hawaiian guy in an unhappy marriage, and he's got lots of kids. So we have three different kinds of lazy jokes we can do with Rob Schneider. So
Yeah.
yay!
I mean, Rob Schneider. Yeah, I mean his time on SNL, just because I don't know, he's always played. I guess because he looks a little like racially ambiguous. He's always played.
No, he doesn't. He's a white dude.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean on SNL though, he always played like different ethnicities. Like he'd play like a Greek person, or he'd play like somebody from the Middle East or something like that. He's you ever
Yeah,
noticed
but
that he's
doing
always.
yellow face or brown face doesn't make you racially ambiguous. It just makes you a white guy doing yellow face and brown face.
I guess so, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, but there must have been a reason why he was the always the go to for that because he is half Filipino. His mom is from the
Oh,
Philippines,
is he?
so
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. So like, but I know what you mean. He looks like a straight up white guy, but he is
Yeah.
half.
Okay, I
So
didn't even know he had that much mixed heritage. I thought he was just a white dude doing
yeah, no,
the
he is. Like
yeah.
I still remember because like I still remember on the Mother's Day episode of SNL when he was still on, and they did the cold open, and
Okay.
he brought out his mom, and it was
Okay.
this little Filipino lady, and everybody was like, and they made it, he makes a joke about it, and everybody was
Okay,
like,
I did not remember that. And with the
yeah,
last name Schneider, you don't think half Filipino. So
yeah, no, it
okay,
happened.
all right.
You know
I
who
stand
also,
corrected.
yeah, you know who I also learned is like, part Asian, Mark Paul Gosselaar, like Zach Morris from,
Really?
yeah, his
Okay.
mom's from Indonesia, and I was like, what?
Huh.
I was like, all right, that's
Interesting.
interesting. Very, very
Yeah, because
interesting.
I mean, he looks like the whitest of white dudes.
Yeah, no, like I mean, when he was on Saved by the Bell, he dyed his hair blonde and stuff like that.
Right.
But
No,
yeah, no,
I knew that. Yeah, he had his natural hair color on NYPD Blue, and I watched that Franklin and Bash show when it was on. Uh,
yeah,
Enjoyed that.
but yeah, no, his
Uh,
mom's from Bali,
huh.
so I
All
was like,
right.
there.
Cool. Well, good on
uh,
you, Mark Paul Gosselaar.
See, now you
I
know the
enjoy your
rest.
work in the things that I see you pop up in. I haven't
Yeah,
watched you in a while, but
all
you seem
right,
like a cool guy with your head screwed on straight.
yeah. Go on,
Unlike
Mark.
Rob Schneider, who
Yeah,
tough to like, tough to like. I
yeah.
will just say.
I mean, just because his humor is very low hanging fruit, very like, oh,
Yeah.
my wife, I hate my wife. I want to live
I hate
vicariously
my
through.
wife. My wife is old and ugly, and I have too many kids, and ha ha ha, and oh, I smoke too much weed, and I'm cringing every time he's on screen, man.
Yeah, and he wants to like live vicariously through his friend who's hooking up every. It's like,
Who's the sex god? Yeah,
yeah, and it's like, I mean, I guess for maybe a certain age group of younger people, these jokes still work and are funny, but I don't. Maybe I've matured as a man. I don't
yeah.
know, but like I
If
watch
you're
as a.
12 years old and you're slightly racist, I could see you getting into Rob Schneider's humor.
You hear that, Arkansas? This movie's for you.
But I am not. I am neither of those things. So yeah, so I found the Schneider bits tough to take.
Yeah, no, I agree. They were a little. I I
Yeah,
I look forward to them being over. I'll say
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
And yeah, we also learned that Adam Sandler's character Henry, he's a vet who works at the local aquarium.
right.
He's always kind of interacting with all the sea animals because he loves like walrus. He has a thing for walruses. He really
We
loves.
have a lot of walruses doing tricks in this movie. We have a walrus puking on a woman in the first 7 minutes. Um,
Yeah,
and then we find out right after this happened that Henry, Adam Sandler's character, apparently got the walrus to do it in retaliation for this woman eating his roast beef sandwich. And I'm like, well, holy fuck, this guy's a total asshole.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
because it's
Wait,
literally like, okay, you're sleeping with all these women, you're just deceiving them after, because he's also telling them all these tall tales of like, oh, I'm a spy and I'm going to Peru later, and so he's sleeping with women under false pretenses, and he's having a walrus puke on one of his coworkers, and I'm just like, holy fuck, this guy's an asshole. Why am I rooting for him at all?
you know how you gotta do it, bro. You gotta tell after you score. You gotta tell chicks that you're a spy so you can bounce, bro.
Well, I
Then
mean,
it's
look, I don't. I'm not saying he shouldn't have an arc, and it's totally fine if he starts out as a jerk and grows as a person over the course of the movie. That's basically basic storytelling. But
yeah,
he has to be charming in some way to start, and Sandler is just not in this movie.
yeah. The him getting the walrus to vomit on his assistant Alexa. That
Yeah.
didn't. That was like, all right, that's not cool. And there was like a few jokes that they have in there because I guess Alexa looks very ambiguous.
Yeah,
I guess we'll
the
say.
whole joke with Alexa is supposed to be you can't tell if Alexa is a man or a woman, and like I guess 2004 was about the very last year you could get away with stuff
The
like that
very
because it's because
yeah.
that's the extent of the joke. It's pat, you know.
Yeah, like that was the last year you can get away with that shit. He got in right under the wire,
He really did. It's
Like Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones grabbing his hat under the
Yes, yes,
yeah.
Scott, you read my mind, John Trumbull. God
Yes.
damn it.
Yes.
But yeah, like I mean, that character Alexa, I thought, that was like, oh, that's unfortunate. She's just yeah,
Yeah.
she's not a great fleshed out character. She's just kind of there just to be
No,
funny.
no,
So
she's just there for like the cheap gags.
yeah,
Yeah, and we're calling her she because she's played by an actress. I don't. They do identify the character as a she over the course of the movie, don't they?
they do.
I think.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. So both the
yeah.
character and the actor portraying him are she's.
Right,
So
and then also we learn early on in the movie that he has this big dream of building this boat up and taking
right,
it to Bristol Bay in Alaska to like
right.
study walruses. Like that's his big dream that he's gonna do. He's gonna like build
He's
this
got a
boat.
big hard on for walruses. This guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he's really into walruses. I've noticed that
he's
because like
super into like almost suspiciously into walruses.
yeah, it's like dude, do you want to fuck a walrus?
If Adam Sandler had like a big walrus fetish in this movie, it might be a more interesting film.
Yeah, it's like oh, I'm gonna fuck a walrus.
Oh, I'm gonna fuck a walrus.
Oh, I'll
You
get
know?
you. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I mean, I noticed that because he does talk about walruses when he first meets Lucy, Drew
Right.
Barrymore's character in the diner
Yes, he
when they
spots her from across the diner, and he's like, "Hey, she's very pretty because she looks like Drew Barrymore." And yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, so obviously he's into her, and then he approaches her, and he immediately she's building a fort with her waffles, and then he comes up and he like without saying anything, he like puts his hands on her food and builds a little door in her fort, and I'm like, a total stranger is coming up to you and putting his hands on your food, and you find this charming?
Yeah, I mean they do call it out later on in the
They
movie.
do, but the first time that happens in the movie, she finds it charming, and I'm like, why is she finding this charming? I would be creeped the fuck out if some stranger grabbed my food in a diner.
Yeah, that's where and like he does sit down and they do talk and she points out that he
Yeah,
smells like fish. So
yeah.
now
So a strange man with stinky fish hands comes over, puts his hands all over her waffles, builds a little door with a toothpick. That is, that's not a meet cute.
no,
That's
it's not. It's a reason for getting out your mace and going ham on that motherfucker.
and just be like, give me $15 for a new breakfast, motherfucker,
Yeah, sick. And wash your hands.
and wash your hands. They try to somewhat justify Henry's caddish behavior by they say that his college girlfriend Tracy cheated on him with her academic advisor, who was like apparently 50 years older than her, and that's like the last we hear about that. And I guess that's supposed to get our sympathies on his side.
Yeah, they never really dive into that any more than just that.
Yeah, because some woman did him wrong like 20 years before. I don't know.
That
It's like
that gives them the right to get walruses to barf on other women.
right and sleep with all these women under false pretenses,
Yep.
which again is a thing he does.
Yeah, he
Oh, and
pulls.
by the way, Kevin James is in the montage of women at the beginning for some reason because I guess,
Gay.
yeah,
Get it?
gay is funny.
Get it?
um, so anyway, yeah, he comes up, puts his hands on her waffles, and she doesn't immediately tell him to fuck off for some reason.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you're charming and cute because I've read the script and I'm supposed to find you charming and cute." And Drew Barrymore, she's so good. I mean, I almost buy it.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, she asks Henry to have breakfast with her again the next day, and I wrote in my notes, "Holy crap, she could do better."
I mean, Drew, sweet Bubba,
Yeah,
you could do so much better.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, is Drew Barrymore married now? I know she has like some
Uh,
kids, right?
oh, that's a good question.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
even know.
I know she's got a talk show, and I know she has some kids. I don't know if she's married. I know she's dated Sam Rockwell. I know she's dated
Oh, she did.
Justin Long. Yeah, and she dated Luke Wilson for a while too. I think.
Luke Wilson.
Yeah,
Wow. I know she did. Did she date the guy from The Strokes?
I think so.
I
Yeah,
think so.
I know more about Drew Barrymore's dating life than I realized. Wow.
I'm looking right. According to Wikipedia, she is not. She's been married and divorced thrice,
Wow.
and yeah, to Tom Green,
Oh, that's
Jeremy,
right. Yes. Yeah, the Tom Green thing. Yeah, I remember
Jeremy
that.
Tom, yeah, Jeremy Thomas, and Will Koppelman. And then she
Okay.
was with the guy from The Strokes, the lead singer, Fabrizio. No,
Right.
wait, Fabrizio.
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 Yeah.
That's the. I think that's the drummer. My mistake.
Okay.
And yeah, it seems like she's unattached at the moment.
Okay. And
And she's got
and
two
she
kids.
and she's got two kids.
Yeah,
And all right. All right. Well, hey, Drew
hey now.
Barrymore. Living her best life. I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
America's sweetheart.
um, yeah. And let's see. So Henry is immediately smitten. He really likes Lucy. They have a thing where they're both so giddy after they meet each other. They're both doing a little dance, and then like a truck pulls away from between them, and they see each other dancing.
Yeah.
Um, it's a cute
Oh,
idea. It doesn't quite work, but
that's cute enough. Yeah.
it's
Uh,
cute enough.
yeah. And so then Henry meets up with Rob Schneider's character Ula
Right.
with his many kids, and they're playing
Hmm.
golf, which are nods, of course, to Happy Gilmore a little bit. I think at one point they
Yeah.
even mentioned the
Yeah.
golf swing,
Yeah.
and he talks about the girl to her and how he really likes her, but of course he has a rule. He he never hooks up with local women, only tourists, because local
Right.
women they'll tie you down, man. Can't have
Yeah.
that. Can't have that, bruh.
Yeah. Because again, scumbag.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, as he's golfing, he loses his golf ball, and then he kind of has this. He finds his golf ball. He sees Lucy's
Right.
there, and then he like Lucy like really hardcore coming on to him, wanting to
Hmm.
her to spend the rest of his life with him, and then he finds out it was all just a dream. That
And he
what
was knocked out by a golf ball.
Yeah, and then that scares him and freaks him out into thinking that, oh, I shouldn't meet up with her. I can't go back
Hmm.
with her, and
Right.
he hooks up with some other rando at a bar, but he still
Right.
can't stop thinking about
Yeah.
Lucy.
He's on a date with this tax attorney, played by Missy Pyle, by the way,
Yes,
the great Missy Pyle, who
underrated.
underrated. I mean, Missy Pyle. You've seen her in a billion things. She's been in Galaxy Quest. She's been in Dodgeball. What else? She's done a load of stuff. I think
Yeah,
she's worked with Tim Burton a few times, if I remember
I feel
correctly.
like she was in one of the Adams Family movies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she comes in a movie, she just like kills it. She's just like in the one scene in this movie. Um,
Yeah,
and
Galaxy Quest, Gone Girl. Yeah, she's been in a ton of stuff.
she's been in a ton of stuff. Missy Powell, awesome, underrated.
Hmm.
Um, needs to like headline a comedy, I would say.
Yeah, she's got the chops. I don't,
Yeah, I
but
don't know. It's just so weird. Like when you see like stupendously talented people like Judy Greer or Missy Pyle, and then they get relegated to like these best friend roles. And that's fine. You can make a whole career out of that. But it's just like, no, they're so good. They should be bigger.
no, absolutely.
Um, so Henry's like hung up on Lucy. He kind of confesses his BS to Missy Pyle's character, and he like refuses to have sex with her. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're not drunk. You just think you're drunk, but the thing you're drinking, the gigantic blue drink you're drinking doesn't have any alcohol in it." So, um, and she's like, "Okay, well, is there someone else I can hook up with? Because it's my last night on the islands." And he's like, "Oh, well, go hook up with Alexa over there."
Yes, because in an earlier scene, she stated that she's looking for sex, and
Right.
so
Yes. With
that's
a man or a woman,
yes, and
and because indeterminate gender is hilarious.
that's yes, that's all the character development we get with Alexa.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So yeah. Sandler's got it bad for Barrymore. As well you should.
Yes.
Um.
So then
And
he goes back to the diner to see
mhm.
her.
Yeah, the next day they have this date, and he comes up to her and he makes a joke about his fingers smelling like fish, and I think he like tries putting his hands on her food again because it worked so well the first time,
Of
and
course.
and this time she rightfully tells him to fuck off.
Yes. Yeah. People, if anybody puts their hand on your food and you don't know them, tell them to fuck off. That's
Tell them to fuck off. Call security. Call the
call
cops. That is just weird ass behavior.
call the managers, throw a drink in their face, stranger danger.
Yeah, absolutely. I am not touching that food.
No. God
Even
no.
if it's somebody I knew who touched my food,
Yeah,
I'm
no one touched
kind
my
of grossed
food.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't touch my food, dude.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just me and my hands touch my food.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Unless
Yeah.
you're like the chef who made my food, and even then, you should probably be wearing some rubber gloves
Absolutely. Wash your
or
hands,
whatever. Yeah,
cut your nails,
yeah,
make my
exactly.
food.
Yeah. Anyway, uh,
Wow, we're very particular. Yes.
so Sandra's like, oh, what's going on? I was acting exactly as creepy as yesterday, and this time she didn't find it charming. What's the matter? Obviously, the problem's with her. I
Yeah.
touched her food with fish hands and everything.
Women, am I right, guys?
Yeah, and then the manager at the restaurant tells him, oh no, she was in this car accident and she suffered this head injury, and she lost her short-term memory, so you can't retain any new information.
Yeah, it's basically like the Tom Hanks sketch, Mr. Short Term Memory.
Right, or the guy from Memento, or the
Oh,
Dory in Finding Nemo.
yes. Oh, Memento. God, that movie was
Yeah,
fantastic.
Memento.
Woo!
Yeah.
Guys, go watch
Um,
Memento. It's like Christopher Nolan's, I think it was his first film, but watch Memento if you haven't.
yeah,
That shit is flames, as the kids
yeah.
say. Fire!
So every day Lucy wakes up thinking that it is October 13th, the day of her accident, and her brain basically resets when she goes to bed every night.
Right. And we find out she lives with her dad and her brother.
Mhm.
And basically, her dad and her brother set up everything, just kind of set up everything to make her believe she's living the same day over and over again. Like
Right.
she was in a car accident with her dad, so every day she does the same thing. Her dad gets a pineapple for her because like they were gonna go get a pineapple, and then
Because
her
the day of her accident was her dad's birthday, and she makes him
yes,
like a pineapple birthday cake. And by the way, I really loved Blake Clark as her dad
yes,
Marlon. He was awesome, and I was just like, I looked him up. He's apparently like one of the regulars in Sandler's films, and I was like, oh hey, it's that guy. And I've seen him in other things too, and I was very happy to see him. He was great.
no, he's a great
Um,
character actor. And yeah, like I did
mhm.
recognize him as being in other Sandler projects
Yeah,
too.
great face, great voice. It just he's you need a crusty dad. Hire yourself a Blake Clark.
Uh-huh. And
Uh,
as Lucy's brother, we have Sean Astin, who's played Doug, like the
yeah,
guy, muscle bound guy who's tanned and he's always like doing exercises and he's like a fitness bro type.
yeah. And he's got a lisp, and he's taking steroids,
That
and that
that's
is the extent of it.
yeah. Again, I mean, it's Sean Astin. He's a good actor. Like you thought they would give him more, but
Yeah, yeah, they did. Sean Astin's a little underserved in this movie.
yeah, it's like oh, give him
He
a
does well with what he's given to do, but it's still just
yeah.
like
Like
you
oh,
got
he
you got freaking Sean Astin. You give him a little more.
yeah, yeah, like I mean, like his sister has this brain injury. Like get into that a little bit more, but they
Hmm.
don't really go past the surface level. And it's like oh, he has a lisp and he takes steroids and he's all about
Right.
doing crunches and that's
And because Lucy thinks it's the same day every day, like everyone in her life has just decided to like just go along with this and deceive her. They to the extent of they have a special newspaper printed up every day that she can read at the diner.
yeah. They have that, and they have Lucy, and her dad has Lucy like sort of paint the shed every day,
And
and
every night he paints over the mural that she paints, and he paints it white. And so the next day he can be like, "Hey, would you like to paint this mural again?" And it's like, how is this paint drying so quickly?
I
Uh,
yeah, doesn't paint take a while to dry? Does it takes longer than overnight, right?
yeah, I feel like it needs
I don't know.
several hours to dry, and you should probably do a day to be. I mean, you would notice that like, hey, there are 20 layers of paint on this.
What's the big
Way
idea?
more because like she's had this condition for over a year, they say. So, okay, if she's painting a mural every freaking day, that is more than 300 coats of paint. Honestly, like more than 600 because we got the coat of paint of the mural and then the white over that.
Yeah, and you'd think like when she went into the shed, you'd be like, "Hey, it smells freshly painted in here." Because like fresh paints,
Exactly.
you can
Exactly.
smell fresh paint.
You can. How do you not faint from the fumes? And how is that garage or that shed not the size of a closet now with that many layers of paint?
Yeah, it's you gotta just suspend belief a little bit when you're watching
You
this movie.
do. You do. It's a movie, so you go with it. And Henry, like, he learns about this condition, and he's like, oh, and his friend Ula is saying, like, oh, well, you should hook up with her, and Henry's like, oh no, I can't hook up with her because it's evil. And I'm like, how is that more evil than anything you've done up until now? Honestly, because
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, now suddenly sleeping with a woman under false pretenses is like the line you won't cross.
Yeah, but he says like, oh, she has brain damage, and
Right.
that's wrong. But lying to other women who don't have brain damage, that's okay.
I mean,
Uh,
but like just a scene ago, we see that like it was his normal thing to like get women drunk or they think they're drunk, so he can take advantage of them when they're inebriated or they think they're inebriated. And I'm just like, that's still awful, dude.
but they're not brain damage, John.
But they're not actually drunk, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's like, hey, that's yeah. No jury could convict him.
I mean, maybe. Um, well, maybe a jury should convict him. Maybe I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, that's yeah. Actually, I don't know the
I
law.
don't. I don't know if I'm going to go so far as to say his character is guilty of date rape or something like that, but he
Oh
doesn't
Lord, no.
seem
Let's
like
not go into
far
that.
off. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
um,
I see what you mean. Yeah, he's a little. The fact
a
that
little
he
scuzzy, right?
little scuzzy,
Yeah,
but not full on scuzz. I'd say,
right. So
but it's getting
therefore, we're
close.
supposed to like him. I don't know. I just uh, okay. So he goes back and he's trying all these various attempts to like meet her and romance her again. Like he literally like pretends he can't read
Yeah,
the menu.
which I
And
that's a come on line I have never heard for a guy to do. Like, oh, I know how to get women. Pretend to be illiterate. I
yeah,
was like,
it's a
what?
weird gambit. It's a weird gambit, and then she goes along with it. And then after like they get out to the car, she's like, "What? You're not going to ask for my number or anything?" And she was like, "Oh, if this guy's going to pretend that he can't read just to meet me, he must really like me." And I'm just like, no woman would think this.
It's like no, he just
Excuse me,
really
really
wants
odd.
to bed you. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I think at the point when they leave and like they strike up a conversation and there's some chemistry, he has the flashback again about the fantasy that he had at the golf course, and he gets scared away, like because he doesn't want to get hurt again. John, he doesn't want to get hurt again.
He doesn't want to get hurt again like he did in college 20 years ago, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Uh,
How old was Adam Sandler in this movie? Was he still in his 30s at this point? He was probably in his 30s.
I would say
Okay.
30s. Yeah.
I'll say 15 years ago then.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Hey, some wounds take time to heal, man.
yeah, but at this point in this movie, I was like, okay, this is why I don't like Adam Sandler as an actor very much, or at least in comedies, because at least at this point in his career, he was still alternate. His style was basically he alternated between shouting and then when he's trying to play sincere, he just whispers every line.
Hmm.
Ah, I'm being sincere now. I really like you, Drew Barrymore. You
Oh,
can tell I really like you because I'm whispering.
shh. I
Yeah,
like you very much.
I'm saying this really quiet so you can tell how sincere I'm being. And it just he only has those two modes. And
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
I've liked him as a straight actor and other things. I thought he was like good in Funny People. But I remember liking him in Spanglish. I still haven't seen Punch Drunk Love, but here it's just he only has those two modes, and it gets very tiresome.
Yeah, I think this was like one of the movies where he was kind of on his, like, he was transitioning from the Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Adam
Right.
Sandler to like maybe like a more mature type of Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler that we know now, like the Punch Drunk Love, or even the
Right.
what's Uncut Gems, maybe
Yeah.
Adam
Okay. So
Sandler
he'd
would
already
know.
done Punch Drunk Love at this point. That was 2002.
Oh,
Let's see
okay.
when Spanglish was. Spanglish was 2004, so the same year as this film. So yeah, like you said, he's kind of transitioning, and
Yeah,
probably saying like, oh yeah, I can't do the man child stuff anymore.
yeah. Like I think that he was kind of slowly getting out of the man child stuff and
Hmm.
trying to become more of a, like a more of a serious actor. Like I think like this movie kind of represents his like kind of growing pains through
Yeah.
that. But like it, I mean, it does suck that like he feels like he kind of has to go back to the frat boy humor just so like the people that kind of boosted him up, the frat bros, the college guys, don't think that
Yeah.
he's totally like sold out or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, because like I think if he did a little bit less of that in this movie, the movie would have been better for it.
Yeah. I
Let's see.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Um,
So we have a lot of fake meet cutes to a bad cover of Friday I'm in Love from The Cure.
yes. Oh yeah, because like at this point, after like she gets offended that he didn't ask for her number, like she
Right.
drives off, and then he follows her to apologize, and that's when the waitress, the manager of the diner, Sue,
Right.
calls Drew's dad because like
Right.
they're old friends, and she
Yeah.
calls Drew's dad to warn him about, hey, this thing happened with this guy, he's on his way, just let you know.
Yeah. Then they warn him off. And they're like, "Hey, leave my daughter alone.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah, basically they say don't go back to the diner again to talk to her. So he
right.
finds a way around that by still meeting up with her, by not going to the diner, but knowing like what route she takes when she drives around for that day, and
Right.
like meeting her.
So he's stalking her.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Straight up
yeah.
stalking her.
But he's in love, man.
He's in love. That makes it okay.
Your Honor, I was in love with her.
Yeah. No, that's. Oh well, you're obviously not a deluded stalker then.
Case
Oh, and she's
dismissed.
brain damaged. Oh, you're in love with the brain damaged woman. Okay, great,
Yes.
great.
Do you not hear Fridays I'm in Love playing in the background, Your Honor?
Yes, I do, and I wonder why it's not the original version.
Too expensive.
Too expensive. Yeah, this movie has a lot of mediocre covers of good songs.
Yeah, there's a lot of needle drops throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if you stayed until the very end, but there's like a
Hmm.
cover of a Spandau Ballet True,
Yeah.
but it has like Will I Am from the Black Eyed Peas in it, and it's god
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pu.
It was bad. I noted a lot of the bad needle
Woo.
drops. I mean, there's a bad needle drop of Every Breath You Take by UB40.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, admittedly, I pretty much hate UB40, but yeah.
UB40, more like you be terrible. Am I right, guys? Am I right, guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
got him.
got him. Take that, UB40.
So yeah, so he's doing things like he's pretending the road is out, and then he's like he's got a hard hat on, and he's like, oh hey, are you just coming from breakfast? I like building little forts with my waffles. So he's like using the knowledge that he's gained that, and as far as she knows, she's meeting him for the first time, and I like this sort of thing in like time loop movies,
Right.
but here it's just kind of skeevy because because the woman is literally brain damaged.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a tricky thing about this movie. It's like,
Yeah,
is he taking advantage of this woman with who has this
yeah,
disability, or is it like is it reciprocal that is she starting to fall in love with him too, or is it
yeah.
this movie kind of walks that little tightrope as like, is he?
It's walking that line and not entirely successfully. I mean, sometimes it gets the right tone, and it's really tricky. But yeah, they don't always thread that needle.
Yeah, it gets tricky. Yeah. So
But we
he
we get to see Drew Barrymore beating Rob Schneider with a bat.
that's
I enjoyed
cool.
that part. That's
There you
good.
go.
Yeah.
The
So
best thing of the movie.
that's, I mean, 5 stars.
Yes.
Uh,
I stood up and applauded.
And then eventually, Lucy's dad contacts Adam Sandler, and she's like, "Oh, I finally figured it out. She only sings 'Wouldn't It Be Nice' by the Beach Boys on the days where she meets you."
Yeah. So the dad thinks, well, maybe you meeting her,
Right,
behind my back without my wishes is actually
right.
helping her regain her memories
Because
somewhat.
I think he says that was my song with my wife,
Yes.
so
Yes.
that was our song. So she's therefore falling in love with you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Kind of a leap, but okay.
I mean, it's a theory. It's a theory.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, but
So
you know, we'll go along with it because we have to have a movie.
yes, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. So at the next day, Henry goes meets up with Lucy at the diner. They
mhm.
start talking, and then Lucy notices that her car is getting a ticket outside, and she runs out to
Right,
see, and she's like, a cop is saying, "Oh yeah, you have expired tags. I got to give you a ticket." And she's like,
right,
"No, no, my tags aren't expired because I know they expire next year,
right.
and like they got to be good." And then
Expire in 7 months.
yeah, exactly. So and then she notices some.
I think they could have safely renewed her car tags because honestly, how often do you look at your car tags?
That's true. Yeah, like I'm surprised they could have done that online. I mean, I guess '04.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could have done it online in '04.
yeah, probably,
Yeah, yeah.
probably.
But we'll look past that because we need a movie. And
I guess.
yeah, so then Lucy looks at somebody's newspaper. It's like, no, today is October, blah blah blah. She sees,
October 13th. Yeah,
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 and then she sees that the newspaper has a different date, and she gets confused and
yeah. She
upset.
starts spiraling. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the diner manager, she calls up the dad and she says, "Oh, you know, she's having a bad day." And she
whoop
gives him a
whoop.
heads up, and they make their bad day preparations,
Yeah,
where her dad like explains the whole ruse to her, tells her like you were in the hospital for 3 months. Uh,
yeah. He shows her pictures from the
mm-hmm,
accident and
mm-hmm.
the newspaper article, and like, of course, all this is kind of coming crashing down on her. And Drew Barrymore does some really good acting in this scene. I thought, where
I mean, yeah, she's really good. I mean, she's a great actress. I think.
yeah, and like of course, it's devastating to find out like, oh, my whole
Mhm.
life has been like a setup, like like I've been
Right. I
and I
mean,
don't
you know,
remember
like
it.
this has been my life for over a year at this point, and I had no idea, and I'm going to have no idea again tomorrow. That's a lot to take in.
It's a lot.
It's a
Uh,
lot.
And
Um,
yeah, yeah. Then she said, "Well, I'd like to go to talk to the doctor about this."
right.
And the dad said, "You
They're like
have."
the doctor explained it to you many times before, and then Sandler says, "Well, I'll take her to the doctor to hear from the doctor."
See,
Oh,
John,
I'm
he is
sorry.
a good guy.
I'm sorry. He's being sincere. So he goes, "I'll take her to the doctor
I take it
so
to
she can
the.
hear to the doctor.
I take it
I'm
to the.
whispering so you know I'm serious.
I
Uh,
take it to the doctor.
I'll take her to the doctor."
I take
Yeah.
it to the
Um.
doctor.
And
Yeah,
and and then they at this point they say, "Sweetie, you're sort of dating him," and I'm like, "Is she though?"
not really. Like
Not
when,
really. She
yeah,
is not really dating him at this point. I don't feel like dating usually implies like some sort of consent or decision.
yeah,
I feel like
that line. I was like, I don't know about that because
that's like he's trying to date you.
yeah,
I'll give you that,
they're
but
they're acquaintances. I'd
they're
say.
acquaintances. They occasionally flirt, but she seems to find him creepy a good 40% of the time. So, are they dating? I don't think they are.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. So,
Um,
all four of them go to the institute, and
right.
she talks to her doctor, Dr. Keats, played by Mr. Dan Aykroyd.
Mr. Dan Aykroyd. Lucy, by the way, she has this line. She says, "Oh, you guys just lie to me every day," and I'm sorry. I'm weighing if I should share this thought or not
Uh
because
oh.
well, it kind of plays into the movie's ending too. But
Um. Okay.
okay, a thought that suddenly occurred to me at this point in the movie, I was just like, um, what happens when Lucy has her period?
Oh.
You
ah.
know, because like women, they usually know when that's coming around.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there have to be at least a few days where she is surprised.
Honestly, because this movie is
Yeah,
written by a guy, I don't think they even
yeah.
thought
I'm
about it.
I'm thinking they didn't even think of that. I mean,
Yeah.
like this was my second time watching the movie. I didn't think of it until like my second time through.
Oh wow. Yeah,
But obviously,
I I genuinely didn't even think of that at all. Just
but that would be kind of a deal breaker, right? That would kind of the
yeah,
jig would be up
yeah. I would say so.
because you can't really make you can print up all the fake newspapers you want.
Yeah. It's like my body is a calendar. It's
Yeah, I
telling.
don't I don't yeah I don't see her. Yeah,
That's a good point, man.
yeah, I don't know.
Wow. All
Like I
right.
said, I hesitate to even bring it up because that's a whole different direction. But anyway, we got Dan Aykroyd.
Yes, we got Dan Aykroyd as Dr. Keats, and he
Yeah,
basically tells her, "Yeah, you're stable for
mm,
now, but
right,
this condition is most likely permanent. I don't see it
right,
getting better anytime soon,"
right.
which is devastating to hear.
Yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Also, he says hygienic really strangely.
How did he say
Did
it?
you notice that?
No. How did he say it?
He said it hygienic.
Hmm. That's interesting.
I've never heard the word hygienic pronounced as hygienic. I'm like, is that a Canadian pronunciation? Is that a Dan Aykroyd special? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a
I
choice.
don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
Hygienic.
but he says her condition is stable, but most likely permanent. Um,
Yeah.
they also meet another patient called 10 Second Tom, uh, who lost part of his brain in a hunting accident, and he literally like 10 seconds after he meets somebody doesn't remember that he met somebody again.
Yeah, and of course that's played by one of Adam Sandler's buddy, Alan Covett, who was in Happy
Yeah,
Gilmore and is in all of the Adam Sandler films. Yeah, I thought
right.
that character was like kind of all right. Like, again, like that scene with that character, that was like a example of some of the frat bro humor I was talking about. That like Adam Sandler kind of feels like he needs to put in these movies
Uh huh. Yeah.
to
The
just to,
haha, this guy has a brain injury.
yeah, just to kind of appease the college bro crowd that brought him up, but ultimately it doesn't really add anything to the movie.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but anyway, like Sandler doing all this, it kind of wins Lucy over. And so she says like, "Oh, Henry, I'm going to give you a little tip. Talk to me about lilies tomorrow because I really like lilies, and that will get on my good side."
There you go. Yeah,
So she
and
at least likes him enough to like sort of give him tips on how to get with her.
there you go.
So,
That's nice.
yeah.
Yeah, and so when they
So
get
that's
back,
like half sweet. Yeah.
yeah, we're getting there. We're
Yeah.
getting there. Rome wasn't built in a day.
And Henry takes the scrapbook that like depicts all the stuff about her accident and all that.
Yeah, because Henry basically has the idea of, well, this whole thing that you guys do where you just pretend every day is the same, except for the days where she finds out, like,
Right.
and she has to go through all this devastation. That's pretty it's pretty traumatic and terrible. There
Yeah,
has to be. Is there an easier way for her to
this
ease
isn't
into?
working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he
and
wants.
and he's getting on the dad and the brother's good side a bit because they see how devoted he was over the course of this day. But he's just like, hey, this isn't working. We got to figure something else on. And they're like, oh, well, you're like an expert after a day.
Yeah,
And
but
good
yeah,
point.
that's true. That's true. But like he wants to. I mean, the fact that he wants to kind of ease her, ease Lucy into like some sort of normalcy or some type of
Mhm.
better life. That's. I mean, that's a
Right.
nice thing. So like again, that's like
It's a
him.
good urge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's him kind of stepping away from the scumbag arc that he had in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next day he goes to Lily and I think this is in front of the diner again, or maybe it was in front of her house, but he like delivers a bouquet of lilies
Yeah.
and along with a videotape.
V-
And
VHS tape. Remember those?
yeah, yeah, because
Woo!
yeah, we weren't quite at the Blu-ray revolution yet. Apparently, this was one of the very first movies that was released on Blu-ray. I saw on the IMDb trivia page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was among the first films in history to be released on the Blu-ray format back on June 20th, 2006, along with The Terminator, Underworld Evolution, Hitch, House of Flying Daggers, The Fifth Element, and Triple X. What
Wow.
an odd batch of movies to be the
That
first to be released on a Blu-ray format.
that's It's quite a hodgepodge there.
It really is. It really is. I'm just like, oh, and Blu-ray caught on after that. Okay, all right. So yeah, he gives her this videotape and it shows her like everything she's missed in the last year of like events, like Arnold Schwarzenegger being elected governor, and it's like, hey, this is actually true. This is and Martha Stewart being arrested, and
Right.
Snoop Dogg giving up weed and
Those are
starting smoking weed again.
Yep, those are the big things.
And then he tells her about the crash. I'd maybe lead off with the crash, but
Yeah,
okay.
that seems to be more pertinent. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, like telling her you've missed all this stuff, and this is why you've missed all this stuff. That just seems kind of a backwards way to do it. But and then he says like, "I like you, and you like me most days," which fairly accurate.
He's not lying.
He's not lying. It's like, she likes him like 60% of the time, I would say.
Yeah, and it is nice that he actually included some video footage of Sue from the diner and
Right.
the other, I forget the guy, he had like the tattooed
Yeah,
Hawaiian
the
markings on
tattooed
his.
face. Yeah,
Yeah, and they both say like, yeah, this guy Henry, he's okay, he's all right. So like
yeah.
to
He's
show
not
like,
just trying to get into your pants.
yeah, like basically to sort of just so she knows he's not some weirdo creep.
Yeah, yeah.
Not fully anyway.
Yeah, and Sue says like, "Oh, I was your mother's best friend," and then Lucy, very understandably, when she's done, she's like, "How many times have I watched this?" And her dad says, "No, this is the first time you've seen it." And I'm like, maybe you should have screened the videotape for her dad and brother first. Of
Yeah,
like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of showing her, and that's okay. But I mean, when he sells them on the DVD, he's like, okay, if it doesn't work, we've only lost a day.
which is
So
it's not wrong.
I kind of see his argument, but
Yeah, I mean it's a wild swing, a wild experiment,
it really is. Yeah.
but it does work, and he does, and she does like it's like okay,
Right.
all right, this happened, this is my life. All right, let's.
Right. And that acclimates her a little better. And she starts to, and we see her have it at like a beach party and she's kind of catching up with her friends and what has happened in the year since she's had this condition. And one of her friends is Maya Rudolph, who's
Yes,
like pregnant now.
yeah. I mean, Maya Rudolph. She's just in this one scene, but it's a good,
Right.
it's a nice performance by her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like with both Dan Aykroyd and Maya Rudolph, Sandler probably just called him up and he was like, hey, do you want to shoot like this movie in Hawaii? And they're like, yeah, free trip to Hawaii. Why not?
Hell yes.
I will give Adam Sandler this. He has figured shit out. He's like, oh, I'm gonna do this movie. It's not gonna be set in Seattle. It's going to be set in Hawaii. So I get to spend like a month or two in Hawaii.
Yeah, like I'll agree.
I'm
Like
gonna cast all my friends.
honestly, if I could do that, I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
Like oh yeah, this
I'm gonna be cast opposite a woman who is like way out of my league in real life.
right. It's like, oh hey, this movie you want me to be in that's set in Detroit. Could it be Aruba instead?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Just
And
switching things around.
I will make out with this Hollywood A-lister. I will have women talking about how I am a sex god at the beginning of this movie. The
Right.
man is living his best life.
Yeah, you can't fault him. You cannot fault him.
No,
We would.
I can't blame the guy. As a dude, I have to tip my hat to Adam Sandler.
Yeah, 'cause I think when he made Grown Ups, that was definitely a thing. Like where he just had all his friends that he met on
Right.
SNL shoot this
Uh huh.
movie in this like lovely tropical place. Had
Mm-hmm.
Salma Hayek, and I think at the end of it, he bought all his friends cars or something. It was
I
something
mean, he
wild
takes
like
care
that.
of his friends. Yeah. I
It was
mean,
the
by all accounts, Adam Sandler is a genuinely good dude who
yeah. So I
takes care of his friends
yeah. So
and and all that.
I can't hate too much. He's not like a
Yeah. I
can't
mean,
hate too much.
literally, like it seems like every one of his movies should be like, here's where Adam Sandler vacationed this year. It's
They're all vacation videos.
they basically are at this point.
Holiday Road.
Oh, we also have a uncomfortable joke where one of Lucy's friends had gender reassignment surgery, and the entire joke is just, "Ha ha, she's a guy now."
Ha!
Yeah, and that's it. And I think it was played by another one of Sandler's buddies.
It is. He's
Because
been.
the
Yeah, like I recognize him from like The Water Boy and a bunch of other Sandler
yeah,
films.
the face was real familiar. I don't know the name of the actor, but
Yeah,
it was just like,
that scene
wow,
was.
that's the entire joke. Just they've changed their sex. Ha ha.
It was so unnecessary. It was
It's just,
so
and it's so out of nowhere.
really
It's just,
is.
yeah.
It's jarring. I was like, why do we
It's
do
yeah, it really is. It
like why
really
are we
is.
doing this? What?
It's one of those things that just makes you realize, oh yeah, shit, this was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, don't
Yeah,
don't do that. Come on, Adam.
yeah. So we see Adam Sandler doing Charming, or his version of Charming. They're going to an aquarium. He sings a song to her, and
Yeah.
he's kind of pushing to sleep with her at this point.
Yeah, because like, that he spends more and more time with her. They have their first
Right.
kiss, but of
Mm-hmm.
course, like every time they kiss, it's the first kiss to her, but not to him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then they're
And
getting
he's like,
closer.
"Well, we've had 23 dates, and you from your perspective, we've had this is our first date. So if you split the difference, we've had like 12 dates. So therefore, I should be sleeping with you."
Yep,
Which,
do the math.
wow,
Yeah,
that's a
like
swing.
I was like, Adam, you were doing so well. What happened? You just Henry. Oh, you just
I mean,
you're back to your household ways.
look, I mean, this is okay. I'm going to try and put myself in Henry's shoes for a minute. I think when if you're dating this brain damaged woman, you really have to let her drive the bus here and let
Yeah,
her be the one to be like, "Hey, I am ready to hook up with you." I don't think this is something you have a leg to stand on, and then you should really be pushing for,
you really don't.
because you have a window of let's say maybe 12 hours in a given 24-hour period where you can try to persuade this woman to sleep with you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
It's
lot. That's a big leap, man.
yeah. I mean, this was like another scene where I was like, oh, I don't know about
It's
this.
kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy.
Kinda.
Yeah.
But yeah, like but somehow Henry still wins her over. He sings her a lovely little song, the Forgetful Lucy song, which that seems to be
I
a
don't know if
thing.
it's that lovely, but okay. All
It's
right, you're right.
lovely-ish. I mean, it
It's
seems
lovely-ish.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember they did this in The Wedding Singer too, where he sings her that song at the end of the movie. The
It worked better in The Wedding Singer. Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. The,
Uh,
the I Want to Grow Old with You is a better song than this. This just kind of reeks of, you know, Sandler like, "Oh, Lauren, I came up with this thing, this song this afternoon playing around on my guitar. Can I sing it on Update tonight?"
yeah.
And yeah.
Oh yeah, and, like
Yeah.
Forgetful Lucy. You got your brain's
You
damaged,
got a
like
nice caboosey. Yeah.
yeah, brain damage like Gary Busey. Something like I was like,
Yeah.
yikes! I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
I mean,
random shot at Gary Busey. Okay.
yeah. Gary's like, what? What's up with that?
A real life brain damaged person. Okay. All right.
Yeah, there are.
So they
Mm,
spend the night together, and I feel like the movie wants us to be happy about this. And Henry proposes to her. She says yes. And then you know where this is going.
yes, she wakes
She
up.
wakes up to Henry the next morning, and then she freaks out because she has no idea who he is.
Yeah, because a stranger is in her bed.
Yeah,
Oh, and she like beats him with everything she can get her hands on.
right.
Understandably
Yeah,
so.
understandably so. A lot of jokes about Sandler having an egg-shaped head in this movie.
Yeah,
Um, did you
um,
notice that?
I did. I mean,
Yeah,
I get it. It's like
I like that. There's a little self-deprecating humor there. Yeah,
yeah, I
I
get
mean,
it. Yeah, it's just I mean the movie. It's weird because like the movie plays it like he's like this big Lothario, but at the same
right.
time he has an egg shaped head.
Egg-shaped head. Yeah, it's a weird combo. Yeah, it's like pick a lane movie.
Yeah, it's like is he a stud or is he an egghead?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
let's
so
see.
at this point, as she's freaking out that stranger is in bed with her,
Right,
her dad and brother come up and like they calm her down and they call the doctor. The doctor comes by to check on
right.
her and she's okay and she's watching the video to kind of get caught up on everything.
Right,
And then
right, and there are a few more jokes about Sean Astin's character doing steroids,
I
and he's
what was
like,
the point?
"Hey,
Yeah,
you see that intense overreaction?" And I'm like, He's in an Adam Sandler movie. How can you tell it's an intense overreaction?" That's exactly how Adam Sandler gets upset. Where he's like, "Oh, come on!" Like that's exactly what Sandler does. That's supposed to be right rage.
intense overreacting is acting in an Adam Sandler
Yeah,
movie.
I'm just like, I mean, maybe if that's supposed to be an intense overreaction, maybe not have your main character doing the exact same thing without the excuse of steroids.
Yeah, is Henry
Just a
on
thought.
steroids?
I don't know. Maybe he is.
Oh, I'm on
Um,
steroids.
I'm on steroid.
I'm
Oh,
on.
I'm having a roid rage. Oh,
I'm
I'm
on
gonna
the
give you.
juice. I'm on the juice.
I'm on the juice. Uh, I don't find it funny when Adam Sandler does it. I'm intensely amused when you and I do it. I don't know what that means, but
Hey, we tap into something. I don't know.
we do. It is a fun voice to do. I will give him that.
Yeah. Yeah. So at this point, the doctor and Henry have a talk, and the doctor's like, "Oh
Right,
yeah, I heard you're gonna go on a boat trip to Alaska. Like, how's that
right,
going? How's the boat?"
because you have a big walrus fetish,
Yes,
apparently.
because you're super into walruses,
Yeah,
and then Henry admits like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that because
yeah,
Lucy
because it's
needs."
supposed to be a year-long trip.
Yes, exactly. I think he said like take a year to get there from Hawaii to Alaska. I guess
Oh,
by
yeah,
boat,
maybe it's a multi-year trip. I don't know.
something like that. But yeah, he said like I'm not going to do it because like Lucy needs me here and I don't want to leave her
Right.
by herself. And of course, Lucy overhears it, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then we cut to a scene where Lucy decides to break up with Henry because
Right.
she's like there's no future with me. We can't
Right.
and then
Yeah.
also Lucy shows her like a journal she's been keeping ever since she's
Shows him a journal. Yeah.
yeah like that she's been keeping ever since she's seen the video for the first time, like
Right.
just kind of recording her thoughts about everything that's been going on through her eyes, and
Yeah.
like her plan is to erase Henry from those journal notes completely to forget him
Right.
because like she said
So
like
it's as if he never existed.
yeah
So, like, as far as she's concerned, she never met him because
yeah
she's like, I'm not doing you any good. You're not able to live your life if you're just constantly taking care of me, which is sweet. That's a nice selfless gesture
it
on
is
her part.
it makes sense,
Um,
yeah, but of course
and
he
she's like, this relationship has no future because, like, what is? And he says, like, oh, I want to marry you. I want to have kids with you. And she's like, how is that going to work? I'm going to wake up every morning with an enormous pregnant belly and no idea how it happened.
yeah
Remember this line of dialogue, folks. Remember this line of dialogue. I'm going to wake up every morning with an enormous pregnant belly and no idea how it happened. And she points this out as, like, rightfully is why this relationship has no future. This will come back into play later on.
mm. Make a note, folks, make a
Make it
note.
up. Let's put a pin in that for now.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's like, but before I burn all the diary entries that concern you, I want you to help me rewrite the diary, without him, so that you can see all the nice things I said about you.
Right.
So she wrote this journal, and that was basically what convinced her that the relationship was real because she's seeing this stuff in her own handwriting. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, and they're rewriting it on like a laptop, which I don't. I'm like, well, that's not as convincing. Uh,
Yeah, that's true too. Like you can trust your own handwriting, but a laptop, anybody. Yeah. Wow, I didn't even think of that.
yeah, exactly. I mean, how do you even know you wrote those Word docs? I don't know.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, so the two of them kind of go over the pages that should be like tossed out and burned. There's one funny little note
mhm.
that she writes where he says, "We made love. Didn't last very long, but it was incredible."
Right.
And that's
Because once again, Adam Sandler, sex god.
yes, that's, that's right. It won't last very long, but it'll be pretty good.
It'll be the best 10 minutes of your
That's
life.
right. It'll be the best commercial break you've ever had, lady.
um. So yeah, and after they're done with that, Lucy asks him for one last first kiss, and it's kind of
Oh,
sweet.
and this is where they kiss
Um.
in the rain, like the
Mhm.
Notebook style, and
Right.
he's wearing a t-shirt and it's all soaky, and she's wearing a white shirt, and
By the
or
way, how did this movie not use on its soundtrack the They Might Be Giants song "Another First Kiss"? Did that song not exist yet? I think
oh,
they'd written that song by 2004, right?
I don't even think I know that song.
Oh, it's a great song. It's a sweet song. It's got.
Oh,
I mean, it's okay. Let me look this up. Another First Kiss from They Might Be Giants. It's from their album Mink Car. What year was that? Okay, I'm gonna look up the album because I want to know this now.
okay, all right. So, but yeah,
Mink
yeah, so,
Car, studio album by They Might Be Giants.
okay, uh, yeah,
Released 2001. Released September 11th, 2001. Oh. Oh,
Oh.
okay. Well, I
Oh
think I see
shit.
why this song isn't terribly well known now.
Oh shit. Are you
Yes.
serious? It was released on.
It was released on September 11th, 2001.
God damn.
It's a great album, though. It's one of my favorites for them.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
totally forgot it came out in 2001 on September 11th.
John, you're supposed to never forget.
I had no idea.
Jesus. Oh.
It's a great album, though. Mint Cart by They Might Be Giants. It's a banger.
Yes. Release date withstanding. Don't say. Maybe you shouldn't have
Yeah,
said. Maybe you shouldn't have said banger.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah. But yeah. What were we talking about again?
I was talking about what an explosively good album, Mint
Oh
Cart by They
God.
Might Be Giants.
Oh no. Oh, the humanity.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Okay.
I'm holding back on a couple other jokes right now.
Okay. Yeah. So they break up.
Oh, they break up. They break up. Henry goes on his whole walrus scouting study thing to Alaska.
Yeah, like they show like a little bit of a montage where they're both living their separate lives. Henry is
Right.
broken up by it, but he's living his
Henry
life.
gets a CD from Lucy's dad of
Yes,
like a Beach Boys' greatest hits.
absolutely. Yeah, and also
And
yeah, because like
yeah,
as he's about to take off for this big expedition, Lucy's dad and brother show up to say
right.
goodbye. He
Hmm.
asks her about Lucy, and
Yeah,
the dad's like, "Well, actually, Lucy went to live in the institute like 3 weeks
right. She's been
ago."
living there for 3 weeks now. Yeah, because we,
Yeah, yeah.
we were kind of convinced that yeah, she needed more help.
Yeah, like she didn't want to be a burden on us. So she's
Right.
like thriving there now. She's actually teaching art because we learned
Hmm.
Lucy was an art teacher at the local grade school, so she's
Right.
teaching art there now at the institute, and she's
Right.
singing, and she's like doing well,
Yeah.
and yeah, and like
As well as you can do when your memory resets
as
every
well as
single
you
day.
can do when you have
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So then, like you said, he gives her this Beach Boys best of CD, and he
Hmm.
wishes them off, and of course he
Right.
listens to
And
the
he's like, "Oh, yo, well, yeah, great gift, asshole! Like giving me this gift that just reminds me of your daughter." And then we cut to him just like uh, behind the wheel of the boat and just sobbing, angrily sobbing, as Adam
yes,
Sandler is wont to do.
and like sobbing and screaming the lyrics to "Wouldn't It Be Nice," which
Right.
is
Again, and again, how is that different from the roid rage from Sean
that's right.
Astin's character?
Not different at all,
No, no.
not at all.
Um,
But then as he's listening to the song "Wouldn't It Be Nice," like
yeah,
some of the words that Lucy's dad kind of echo back in his mind, talking about how
right,
Lucy was singing at the institute. And he's like, "Oh wait, was he
right.
trying to tell me something by giving me the CD, like that she's singing and like she's singing Beach Boy song? Oh, maybe she remembers me. She remembers me." And then he
Yeah,
like,
they play it like it's a big revelation. It's like the end of The Usual Suspects. All of a sudden,
yeah,
it's like, wait a
exactly.
minute, Kobayashi. Oh my,
Adam Sandler drops a coffee mug on the boat deck.
right. Yeah, he realizes Drew Barrymore is actually Kaiser Sose.
Yes, Drew Barrymore straightens out walking with her walk.
Yeah,
You know,
right, right,
but yeah, like upon this revelation that she might remember me, he like without hesitation quickly turns the boat around and
right,
sails the boat right to the institute. He runs up the steps.
right. I guess the Institute has a dock. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes that's true.
he runs into the Institute to find Lucy. Lucy's teaching an art class, wearing a kimono for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's how you know she's an art teacher.
I guess so. I guess so. I
Art
mean,
teachers are kooky like
she looks
that.
very nice in the kimono. I'm just like, okay, that's
Hey now,
interesting. I don't know why she's wearing a kimono, but all right. I guess Drew Barrymore was just like, I want at least a few scenes where I wear a different wardrobe because I'm wearing the same pink shirt for 50% of this movie.
uh, yeah. So the Sandler Henry bursts into the
Yeah,
institute, looks around for Lucy. He finds Lucy teaching a class. He says, "Lucy, do you remember me? Do you have any idea who I am. Do you know who I am? And
Right.
she waits a beat and says, no, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
But,
But
but she then leads him into this other room where she's like, this is my studio. And she's painted all these pictures of Adam Sandler that are in a million different styles. They don't look like by the same hand or the same artist at all.
they probably just went to a bunch of like different college student art students, be like, hey, just draw Adam
I
Sandler.
feel like I'm just like, no, these are, look, I've had art training. I was an art major in college. I went to art school after that. There's no way one person painted all those different styles.
They all look
Um,
so
and,
different. Yeah.
and also, they are mostly painted from photographs. They're not; those are not painted from memory. I'm just like, you just had stills of Adam Sandler that you painted from.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah. So he sees this room full of pictures of himself, and she's like, "Yeah, I've been
Right,
having these visions in my dreams of this guy, and I've just been painting them, and like,
right.
I think you're that guy. So I think there is
Yeah, and he's like, what if I told you that I used to be in your journal and you took me out of your journal? And she says, that would make a lot of sense.
right." And then we see Henry says, like, "Yeah, you took me out of your journal because you wanted to erase me from your life because you thought that you were keeping me from having a happy, meaningful life. But the
Right,
truth is, like, with you, being with you is the only way I can have a
right.
meaningful and beautiful
Which,
life."
I mean, this is sweet. I mean, they come so close to sticking the landing here.
So close.
So close. I mean, this scene actually works and is touching, and it works largely because Drew Barrymore is so fucking good. I mean, because she looks at him with like love in her eyes, and you really do believe that she has fallen for Adam Sandler.
Yeah, she's
Um,
solid. She's amazing.
she's really good. I mean, look, you put Drew Barrymore in a romantic comedy, you're already like more than halfway there.
Yeah.
Because yeah, she. I mean, that's just so good. That's just such her wheelhouse. I'm trying to think of a romantic comedy I've seen Drew Barrymore in where she didn't have chemistry with the person. And
I don't know. Trying to think. Never Been Kissed, or I don't know. I didn't see Never Been Kissed, so maybe I shouldn't say that.
yeah, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen.
Hmm.
Anyway, Drew Barrymore is awesome.
Yes.
That was my point. and and then we cut to Lucy waking up, and she has another videotape that's labeled "Good Morning, Lucy." That tells her about her situation, and it shows her marriage to Henry.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mazel tov.
yeah, it is a Jewish wedding. Sandler's like in his yarmulke. They break the glass and all that, and I was like, okay, that's nice. Um, and and then is there stuff in there about her pregnancy on the videotape?
Uh, no. But she does
Okay,
say, "Hey, you should wear a coat because it's cold out here." And we see
right.
she's on the boat. She wakes up
She
and
looks out the window, yeah, and the camera pulls back, and there's a bad process shot of Drew Barrymore in the window of a boat, and there's a boat in the Arctic.
yes, and they are in
Um,
Alaska on a boat.
right.
And she gets out and she's greeted by her daughter.
Yeah, he says, "Good morning, Lucy. Would you like to meet your daughter?" Okay,
All right, here we go.
okay.
Okay, let her rip.
This has now become a fucking horror movie.
Yeah, it's
Because let's take this apart. And this is kind of why I was like, okay, this would be interesting to talk about because the ending of this movie, like 16 kinds of fucked up, right?
it's yeah. The ending is like it kind of. I know they were going for like a very sweet type of
Right.
heartfelt ending, but it can be a little like I don't know about this. It
This is okay. Like I saw, I marked this on my letterbox profile, and I had here's a review that says it all. I think it says this is from Vinny Thornburg on Letterbox. Has 1,990 likes. Says, imagine you are waking up like normal. You are in your everyday world. No kids, but a fiance. Loving family. You like your life. Suddenly you are told by Adam Sandler that you are actually married to him, have had multiple children with him, and live on a boat with him in Alaska. Repeat this every day for the rest of your life. Now, what if I told you that it isn't a horror movie ending, but a romantic comedy ending?
Yeah, it's a little. Um, yeah, I mean,
She has woken up. She's married to this guy she has, as far as she's concerned, has never met before. She is on a boat in the Arctic.
yeah,
She is told she had this accident where she has basically no memory of the last, let's say, 2 years, because she was like, she'd been in that way for over a year. It takes 9 months to have a kid. I don't know how old is the kid at the end. The kid's at least a few years old.
I I would say maybe it looks like maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say 5 years.
Right.
And wow.
I think that's
So,
yeah. I mean, I think the way they kind of made that okay is that they show that her dad is also on the boat with her to
but
show.
still, she had an entire pregnancy with this condition.
Yeah, they don't really address it. They just kind of
How do
gloss over it to get to this
that
moment.
boggles my mind.
Yeah,
So one day she woke up, discovered she was 9 months pregnant, went into labor that day, or she just like wakes up in labor.
yeah.
Oh my God.
That's got to be horrifying. Which is
Yeah.
maybe why they
That's
didn't like pay too much attention to it in the movie because they're like, well, there's no real way to sweetly rom com that, so let's just hop ahead to after she's had the kid and she's like falls in love with her daughter.
that doesn't fix the
I
problem.
no, I didn't say it did.
Doesn't that doesn't make it okay. This is this ending is so freaking twisted, and I don't know if the movie realizes how twisted it is.
It's a little, yeah. The ending
It's
is
a lot.
it's a lot, and that's how the movie ends. Like her,
That's how the movie ends. She's just in Alaska with this stranger and her daughter that she doesn't remember having.
yeah, and
My
that
God.
that's sweet. Yay. I mean, I understand like I understand where the maybe the people were coming from. They're trying to be like, oh, you can live a normal kind of productive life with
A
this
life even
affliction.
around your handicaps or whatever, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and
But
it's going to be difficult, but like you don't have to live the same day over and over again. You can go on and have things like a family and find love and still have this affliction. And
I maybe could have gone with it if they didn't have the kid.
yeah,
Because
it's hmm. I don't know, listeners. What do you think? Is this
how
ending?
do you
How does this ending sit with you? But yeah, I see what you mean. It's still
it doesn't sit with me well at all. I'm
okay.
just like, okay, like you're married to Drew Barrymore.
Go on.
Her mind resets every day. You find out she's pregnant. How do you not have an abortion?
Oh Jesus!
Well, I mean,
You want to go down this road?
well, is she in? Does she have any capacity to take care of a child
Um. Hmm.
when she doesn't remember that child from one day to the next? I mean, I just
Yeah. I don't.
look. I know I'm taking this movie way more seriously than it's supposed to be taken or is asking to be taken, but I can't stop thinking about how horrifying it is that this woman at the end of this movie has a child.
Yeah. It's definitely like yeah. This. I don't know about. I mean, I understand that. I understand where they were coming from, what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah,
They had good intentions. I don't
yeah.
quite know if this.
I think I could go with it if it was, if they went with, oh, she remembers him and, she remembered him despite her condition. And yes, they still find a way to get married and make it work. I think I could have gone with that. But them having a kid is just like, holy shit, that's straight up horrifying.
Yeah. It's a little. It's a little. It's a little. I don't know about this. And
Yeah.
and that's the movie, and the movie is dedicated to Adam Sandler's dad, Stanley
Yeah.
Sandler, who unfortunately passed away during production of this film.
During the production of the movie. Yeah. So, wow. It's a
Woo!
lot, man. It's a lot.
Wowzers!
Uh,
Yeah. So, and that's the movie, and we also found out because it's been 20 years since this movie came out. Drew Barrymore talked about it on her talk show and said that
yeah.
the ending that horrified John was not
Yes.
was not the original ending for this film.
Right. Right. And I just read the original ending, and honestly, it sounds much, much better to me.
Right. So basically, what happens is like the movie takes place in Seattle instead of Hawaii, and at the end of
Right.
the movie, they stay broken up. Like she says, "There's no future
Right.
with me. You need to go on and live your life." And
Yeah.
and she he does.
Yeah. She says, you should go and live your life because there is no life here. And he goes away, and as he does, and he comes back and walks into the restaurant, and he just sits down and says, "Hi, I'm Henry," and the film ends. And that honestly sounds that sounds lovely. That sounds really sweet to me.
yeah, it's more of like I said, like a somber, maybe melancholy type of
Right.
ending, and definitely not the rom com ending that I think that was it. I think more people expected like the happy rom com ending, like they got at the end of Wedding Singer, and that ending would not have been that. So they tried to sort
Right.
of manufacture that happy rom com ending that people were expecting.
Yeah. I think if you want a happy traditional rom com ending for this movie, you either find some way to quote unquote cure her condition, her made up uh, amnesia thing.
Right. Oh, they also say like her condition is I forget what they called it, but they said it was a fictitious thing like Goldberg
Yeah,
syndrome or something.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Because yeah, apparently there is no sort of. I mean, movies they get amnesia wrong all the time. It doesn't work how it does on TV and movies, where you just conk somebody on the head and they
Gold.
suddenly can't
Yeah,
remember
they call
anything.
it Goldfield syndrome, not Goldberg. I think that's a
I
wrestler.
bet they got that from Goldfish.
Yeah.
I 100% think they got that from Goldfish.
Hmm. That's a good point.
But uh, yeah,
Yeah.
so
I mean, did the
yeah,
ending ruin the
Peter.
entire movie for you, or was that just
I wouldn't say it ruins the entire thing, but man, it leaves a creepy aftertaste in your because like the moments where it works, where they have the sweetness, and I feel like Drew Barrymore's Lucy, where she's not just being acted upon, where she has some free will about it.
right? Yeah.
That's when it works. That's when the movie works. And then when it's just like Adam Sandler being like, "Hey, you're in love with me. Here's a videotape that proves it." That's when it gets a little creepy, you know?
Yeah. Again, we've talked about it, where like this movie does kind of walk that tightrope where is
Mm-hmm.
he taking a I guess this movie didn't want to be like that movie. Remember the movie Overboard from the '80s with like Goldie
I
Hawn?
know of it. I've never seen that movie,
Uh,
but I know how and why that's creepy.
yeah.
Yes,
I mean, for those that don't know the movie Overboard, it's from the '80s. It had like Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn,
Goldie
and I
Hawn.
believe, and like
Yeah,
Goldie Hawn plays this really wealthy, like mean spirited socialite. Kurt Russell's like this blue collar
right,
working class guy, and so basically,
right,
Goldie Hawn's character falls overboard, gets amnesia, and Kurt
right,
Russell convinces her that you're actually my wife, and you're actually my housewife, and you're here to take care of our kids, type of
right.
thing. But
This is what we considered a charming romantic comedy set up in the 80s and 90s.
yeah, that I mean, I still remember they actually tried to like reboot that a while ago with Anna
Oh, I remember
Faris.
that. Wasn't it like gender swapped?
Yeah, it was gender swap. So it was like
Yeah.
instead of a guy taking advantage of a woman, it was a woman taking advantage of a guy. But
Oh, well, that's totally okay.
yep,
Yeah.
that's a okay. But yeah, like that the movie totally bombed. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think they were trying to make sure that this movie didn't fall into that trap where it's like, is he taking advantage of somebody with a condition? I
Yeah, I don't feel like they
uh,
entirely avoided that trap.
yeah.
Um, there's apparently also another alternate ending. It
Oh,
says here back in 2019, Peter Sagal spoke to Entertainment Weekly about another alternate ending for the movie in which Henry makes a grand gesture in order to help with Lucy's memory of their love story. That version of the movie ended with Lucy waking up in bed and immediately looking at a mural on the ceiling that tells the story of her accident and her life over the years. It was a mural that she painted that, unlike the mural in her father's garage, which they painted over each day so she had a blank canvas to work on, this one Henry left up so that when she woke up in the morning, she could see a pictorial timeline of her last day to reintroduce her. So by the time she finished panning with her eyes from left to right, she would come to rest on Henry. And unlike earlier in the movie when she woke up in bed with him and he was a stranger again, and she screamed and had a reaction, it was a way of reintroducing her to her life again. The director continued, it seemed like a fitting ending for the couple until they pivoted to focus on Henry, realizing his dream of studying walruses in their national habitat. The idea came up, well, what if Lucy, her father, and their child were all there with him? And that just seemed really exciting and very emotional to me. The hardest thing in movies is coming up with a strong beginning and a strong end, and if you have that, you've got a shot. And I think to this day, it's the best ending to any movie that I've done. I I honestly really disagree. Both of those alternate endings sound better to me than what they did.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that does sound. Yeah, I think.
Honestly, you know
Mm,
what? I think part of the reason I'm reacting to this as strongly as I do is because uh, my father had dementia in the last few years of his life,
oh,
so he at certain points was in assisted care facilities, so he would occasionally wake up and not know where he was or why he was there. And a thing that we did for him, because my mom wouldn't be there with him when he would wake up, so my mom had me make, like, take a photo of her and then do a thing in Photoshop that just said, like, I love you and I'll be here to see you soon. And that would be like the first thing my dad would see when he would wake up in this unfamiliar place.
oh
And
wow.
that helped.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe this is just hitting on
It might
some
be.
personal stuff to me.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. Your feelings are valid. But yeah,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. I mean, if you are somebody who's had somebody close to them in your family or your life that's had
Hmm.
these issues, it can come across as a little. I don't know how I feel about this. It's a little. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's
yeah.
there's a little of that.
No, I
There's a
hear you.
little of that.
I hear you. But yeah,
So again, I feel like I'm judging this movie more harshly than I should, because it's just trying to be a cute romantic comedy, and that's
yeah,
all it is. And I feel like it's partly successful at that, just because Drew Barrymore is so freaking charming.
yeah. I think
Um,
Drew Barrymore did a lot of heavy lifting into making this film the more endearing than it is. I think.
yeah, I think she is the main reason it works at all.
I would agree.
But yeah.
But what do you think, listeners? We put the word out on our Twitter about it, and well, we got a
Hmm.
couple responses actually.
We
Uh,
did.
our good friend Manette Moretti says, "Love it, but the shoehorned, gross-out humor at the zoo that was still obligatory in Sandler movies at the time really makes the quality of the film go down." Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the walrus
You
vomit, I
don't
was
really
like,
see that throughout the film. It's really just like in the first half of the film, and then they just kind of get away from that.
yeah, but yeah, like the walrus vomit, I was like, all right, do we need? What's the point of this?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that could have cut out very easily. I don't know why we had that.
Mm.
Jacob at Dark Matter underscore 362 says, it's been a while since I've watched this one, but outside of the Schneider stuff, I always enjoyed it. Sandler had some magic in making dumb movies like this that still had a bit of heart and could even jerk a tear. E.g., Click is awful, but I still get emotional during that one scene.
Yeah, I've never seen
I'm not
Click.
sure. It's been a long time since I don't think I've ever seen Click from beginning to end. I think because that's a movie where he gets a remote control that he can fast forward through bits of his life or pause or
Yeah,
rewind or whatever.
yeah. Like I think
Um,
that's like a movie. That's a movie we was married to, like Kate Beckinsale, like as we've said before.
yes,
But yeah,
yeah,
like I've heard people say because like when I saw the trailer for that movie, I was like, oh, this looks kind of lame. But then I've heard people
yeah.
say it is a little lame, but there is. I think there's like one scene in there where people were like genuinely moved by it. I think it had something to do with
I
like
think
him.
there's a scene. I think there's a scene where he like fast forwards through too much of his life, and then he's literally missed years of his children's lives.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, like
So I think that's where it gets kind of emotional, because that's a great metaphor, because like I'm not a parent, but you look up one day and you're just like, oh my god, where did all the time go?
yeah, no,
So
yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. Like people do say, yeah, like it seems like a cheesy movie, but there are scenes where you will genuinely get choked up about it because, like, yeah, it does touch on things like
Hmm.
life and mortality and, like, how it all goes by so fast. And I still haven't seen it, maybe because of that, but it's
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll put it on the list. I'm looking at it now. It has Adam Sandler, Henry Winkler, uh,
Christopher Walken is in
Rachel
it.
Dratch,
Hasselhoff is in it.
Rachel Dratch.
Oh,
So
Dratch is in it too. Okay,
yeah, so
cool.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Um. Yeah. So let's see. There's an interesting bit of trivia that I saw about this film. It says the clinic that Lucy visits is called the Callahan Institute, and Dr. Keats, Dan Aykroyd, states that it is funded out of Sandusky, Ohio, by T.B. Callahan, the automotive components tycoon.
Oh,
So in Tommy Boy, Aykroyd played a rival automotive components tycoon that is attempting to purchase Tom T.B. Callahan's company. So weird sort of connection between this movie and Tommy Boy.
wow. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's funky, right?
This is pretty funky. Yeah,
Hmm.
very interesting.
Yeah. So these take place in the same cinematic universe. We could get like a really crappy version of the Avengers with Sandler and David Spade from Tommy Boy.
Ooh, now you're talking.
Yeah.
That's just gonna print money, baby.
I don't think anyone's asking for that, but yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah, no problem. I don't think very many people are asking for David Spade in any capacity.
No, no. Although, I've enjoyed what I've heard of the Fly on the Wall podcast.
I've heard.
So,
I don't know. I really wanted to like that podcast more than I did, but
mhm.
it can be good at some points. But I do find that not Sandler, Jesus, David Spade and Dana Carvey do interrupt their guests a little bit too much for my taste, and
Yeah,
they kind
yeah,
of
that can get old.
yeah,
That
but
can get old. You need to let your guests talk.
yeah, just kind of let them drive for a bit. You don't need to interject with
Yeah,
every mundane thought you got. That's what this
yeah,
podcast is
that's
for.
that's right. That's right. That's We are all about interjecting with the mundane
We
thoughts.
sure are.
Yeah, and well, I mean, so those are our thoughts on 50 First Dates.
Yeah,
We sound like we're mixed at best, I would say.
I would say yeah. I thought this was cute enough. Again, like
It's cute enough. It has its moments.
yeah, again, like I did like the chemistry between Sandler and Barrymore. I still
Yeah,
believe, yeah, Barrymore is the best thing about this film. It,
yeah, absolutely.
it
Yeah,
has a lot of jokes that didn't age quite well, uh, but
no,
it's still charming enough. I thought the film was charming enough.
yeah, and I would say 90% of that is due to Drew Barrymore
Yeah.
because yeah, she's just she. It's like she was like made in a factory to star in romantic comedies.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So
And yeah, and that's our podcast, guys. Thanks again for listening as
that's good.
always to the our little podcast here. As always, you can follow us on Twitter because we refuse to call it X at SNL Nerds
Mhm.
Show. Please leave a review. You could donate to our Patreon at non-productive.com. And as
Yeah,
always, you can follow me on all social media handles. My social media handle, yeah, is at
yeah,
Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
yes. And my social media handle is Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic. And you can follow the shows on Twitter and all that at SNL Nerds Show. And yeah, please rate, leave a review. That really helps us out. We're on YouTube now. If you
Ooh,
go and you can listen to our current episodes and a lot of our old episodes on YouTube. If you go to Non-Productive.com on YouTube or just search for SNL Nerds Podcast, you can find us, and you can find something that'll strike your fancy there. And it's an easy way to share the podcast and tell your friends and be like, "Hey, this is a cool thing I'm listening to. I think you should listen to it too." That
yeah.
really helps us out.
This podcast is the bee's knees. I need to go tell a
That's
friend
right.
there.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And
That's it. That's episode 299, Darren.
yeah, so next up, the big 300. Ooh,
Episode 300. Can you believe we made it this far?
can you believe it?
Episode 300.
They said it could yeah,
300 episodes.
they said it couldn't happen. They said it shouldn't happen. but it happened.
No, yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said.
They said they laughed at us.
And
They called us mad.
they did. They
Who's
did.
laughing now?
That was you just now.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did okay. Well,
Yeah, that was.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awkward. Yeah.
So
So, yeah.
anyway, what are we doing for episode 300? I mean, it's our 300th episode. We're celebrating 6 years of the podcast. We got to do something big. We got to have a big guest, a big impressive guest. Who could we get?
Who can we
Let's rack our
get?
brains on this.
Well, who could we get? Do you have Lorne Michaels' phone number? We can maybe get him.
No, I
Okay.
don't. Shit.
Uh,
What if we interviewed somebody who is also involved with the show in some capacity? Like, I'm just going to throw this out there, like a film unit director.
Film unit director. I like it. Okay.
They have films on SNL.
Mm.
These films have directors, so there therefore is a film unit director. What if there was a film unit director I'm just going to pull this name out of a hat, by the name of Mike Diva?
Oh, Mike Diva, the famed, acclaimed film unit director who directed such famous pre-tapes as I'm Just Pete and Super Mario Kart and Christmas Carol on the Steve Martin Short episode, and the Scooby-Doo pre-tape on the Jake Gyllenhaal episode, and the Battle of the Sexes on the Jason Momoa episode.
And Waffle House.
And Waffle House.
And the Jenna Ortega episode. Yeah.
That guy?
What if there was like somebody who did all of those? And he was like willing to come on the podcast and talk to us about them.
That'd be pretty.
What about that?
That'd be pretty sweet, man. I'd say.
That'd make a great 300th episode, I think.
I think you're right.
So why don't we do that?
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. That'll be easy to set up. Yeah, we'll set that all up by next week.
Yes, exactly. So episode 300, we're going to talk to unit film director extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Diva.
Yes. And it's going to be a great conversation. Yeah. We're going to have a blast.
Oh my God. It's going to be a time for the ages.
Yeah. It really will. We've already recorded this episode. It went really well.
There you. Now you're giving a peek behind the curtain.
Well, yeah.
All right. So yeah, episode.
I didn't know how to tease it anymore. I was like, well, I could make like unusually specific predictions about how the conversation is going to go, but I have a bit of that, there's very more amnesia stuff going on. So I only sort of fuzzily remember what we talked about, but it was good. It was a great conversation. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. You learn a lot about the show.
Did we ever?
Yeah, it was great. He's a great guest. So yeah, check that out. That's going to be next Monday for our big 300th episode. So we'll see you then. But until then, nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.